Welcome back. We just saw Super JJ fall in that game of the match, so now he's down 2-1. ECOP with an early lead here, only needs one more. He's in match point now. We saw ECOP get a win there through fatigue with Freeze Mage, so it's gonna be interesting to see what Super JJ is going to bring to the table this turn.
Yeah, I mean, the reads that he's maybe been able to pin down, not quite as easy in this match. ECOP really understanding the strategy here. The HPL format, you can change your deck in any way that you want between games. That's the time that they have, after each game to make those changes as they see fit. And ECOP making a great transition, coming off a Tempo Mage win and then swapping to the complete opposite of that with something like Freeze Mage. And then that Doomsayer off the Pilot Shredder, oh my gosh, that was brutal stuff. Maybe we'll see it again, but who knows? Game 4 is getting underway right now. Super JJ needs 2 straight. ECOP's on match point.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome to see him change decks within the same class and kind of mess up JJ's mulliganing there. So JJ is going to go back to Druid. Got him his first win in this match in game 1, and it looks like ECOP has moved into what appears to be Control Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some shield blocks and shield slams kind of sneak their way into
a little bit lately
into the Grim Patron Warriors. We saw that a little bit in week 1. But I really like the swap here from Super JJ because ECOP's kind of been all over the board at this point, and I think that a couple strategies you can expect him to play now, stuff like Freeze Mage, stuff like Handlock, and maybe even some Control Warrior in there. So this play is going to work well versus all of those. The thing he hasn't seen from ECOP so far is a very aggressive Warlock deck, so I like him swapping to this strategy, and it happens to put ECOP in a little bit of a sticky situation because, as everybody who's a Warrior player knows, Druid is one of the most dangerous strategies you can play against.
Yeah. But speaking of sticky situations, have you seen Super JJ's hand in this game?
I don't think it's looking too bad. He's missing Innervate and he's missing Wild Growth, but he's still got some pretty decent pressure behind this. Already has Force Nature Savage Roar in his hand, so he'd like to see a consistent stream of minions coming in. Actually still has Zombie Chow in here too, so a nod to the fact that ECOP might have been playing something aggressive and he wants to have options available to him. That's really been a big talking point for Super JJ. We've seen one kind of card be in this matchup to make sure that he can kind of check situations that maybe he doesn't typically expect to see from his opponents.
Yeah, Zombie Chow is just a great minion in the Druid deck. It helps you against all the aggressive decks early. It helps you proc stuff like Mirror Entity against Mage, which can be a super problem for your deck.
Yeah, against Mage, proccing a Mirror Entity with a Zombie Chow, we actually saw it was Era who did that, and that 5 extra health kept him alive in that game where he otherwise would have ended up losing. So finally getting the ball rolling now. Without Wild Growth, without Innervate, you do have a little bit more time on your mana curve to be able to find the right minions, so able to utilize his turn 4 to full effect, and he'll be able to do that for basically every turn for the rest of the game. He's got turn 5 Sludge Belcher, and he's got turn 6 Emperor Thaurissan.
Yeah, but you see ECOP in a position that he's very comfortable with and very often in. That's controlling the game. He's got a ton of cards in his hand. He's not under a ton of pressure yet from Super JJ, but Super JJ keeps adding great cards to his hand.
Yeah, Ragnaros will be checked by this big game hunter if it gets to that point, but really the big story here is that these 2 power minions are now sticking to the board for a little bit longer. So he's got Cruel Taskmaster to keep things in check. He's got Executor, Shield Slam if he potentially wants to use it, but you want to be using those on bigger, higher profile threats, and with stuff like Shield Block and Shield Maid in your hand, I have to expect he'll be holding on to it. Despite, of course, one of the best answers out there to Sludge Belcher, making sure you can take out that front half of the body. And now he's just going to add threats to the board. Each one of these Cruel Taskmasters will check every minion that Super JJ has, so it's a matter of whether or not his curve is going to be strong enough to fight against this, how he chooses to utilize his mana moving forward.
Yeah, ECOP just controlling the board very well here. Super JJ, he does have that Ragnaros in his hand, and as you said, it is going to get checked by the big game hunter out of ECOP, so he's probably going to look for a turn where he gets the guaranteed 8 damage out of it.
Wow, he's thinking about using a Shield Slam or an Execute here too. I would say that with Shield Block and Shield Maid in your hand, that Execute is probably a little bit less valuable than those 2 are, but still a little bit surprised to see him use it this early on. That's the kind of pressure that these early minions can provide to people. It forces them to make decisions they normally wouldn't want to make, and Emperor Thaurissan.
Speaking of pressure, Emperor Thaurissan, it's going to make JJ's hand a lot cheaper. JJ's hand looks great going forward from here. We talked about we saw this happen in a match yesterday with Druid 2 where they didn't get the ball rolling for about 4 turns in the game, but when they do, boy, does it roll good.
Yeah, so Shield Maiden Coin, Slate Shield Slam, a beautiful turn here from ECOP. He's able to seize control of the board, but again, is this going to be enough to fight against the ramping pressure that Emperor Thaurissan will provide to this game?
Yeah, JJ's going to look to stick any minion he can to the board the next couple turns, get a little damage in, since he has Force of Nature and Savage Roar in his hand, and he just picks up a backup Force of Nature as well.
Yeah, Dr. Boom going to be the play here, and this is going to be checked though. There's a big game hunter sitting at ECOP's hand. You can see he's pretty happy to face against it. Actually, there's a Harrison Jones in here too, so no value going to be found in that regard. It's just a 5-4 minion in this matchup, but I have to say with this board position, this is looking pretty darn good for ECOP. He's still at 30 when this is all said and done. And the Boombot's going to face. I think he's very happy to see that at this point, simply because he needs to get his own pressure rolling. You can't let the game go on forever because Druid has stuff like Ancient Allures who can draw extra cards, and always very dangerous to be potentially seeing 2 Savage Roars come out in 1 turn.
Yeah, I mean, it does look like ECOP is in a pretty good spot, but, Super JJ coming back is going to have a pretty good board that he can drop a Ragnaros on next turn, most likely, depending on how ECOP plays the rest of the turn.
Yeah, I mean, I have to suspect Big Game Hunter is going to be the play here. He's thinking about using what looks like Shield Block and Shield Slam to me, but, Big Game Hunter is just so good in this spot.
It feels so good to spend 3 mana to kill one of these gigantic minions that your opponent has invested so much time in.
Yeah, the other thing too, though, is that it is getting to a point where maybe Super JJ has damage to shred the armor away, and then you actually don't get value out of your Shield Slam in that instance because you don't have enough armor to utilize.
ECOP better hurry up, finish his turn here. He's getting low on time.
Oh,
the
wow.
full 4 damage from the Boombot.
That is so brutal in this position. That actually might be enough to start giving Super JJ the pressure that he needs. And you can see ECOP is just distraught over how much damage that was able to provide. And this looks like the turn to me where Super JJ is able to utilize this Ragnaros to full effect here. Either one of these targets, I think he's pretty happy with.
Yeah, he's fine if it shreds all 8 armor from ECOP here. He's also fine with it killing the Big Game Hunter here, because then it might just sit around for a turn. And if that happens against ECOP, now ECOP does have a Shield Slam in his hand.
Perfect draw from
just
ECOP as
perfect.
well. There's no Big Game Hunter in Super JJ's hand, and this adds a ton of pressure to what's going on. When you couple this to the fact that he's just got minions to throw at the board later on, I mean, this is looking like a really bad position for Super JJ. He might have to use this Force Nature and Savage Roar just to keep the board under control.
Yeah, and he's already got Grommash, Cruel Taskmaster in his hand, so he's got that combo to help finish this game off if he gets to late in the game. So Super JJ looking for some help here. He's going to draw 2 cards off this Ancient of Lore.
Yeah, it seems to be
double Innervate. He might be able to get a huge Force of Nature turn here.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can stick over to ECOP's position until this display bug gets fixed and underway. Seems to be that Druid likes to remind you that it's drawn cards or healed or dealt damage or whatever it's gonna be. But yeah, Armorsmith just so much is gonna be padded to this life total now. ECOP doesn't get the return Boombot that he wants, but
this Fiery War Axe is going to clean it up
yeah,
quite
still
nicely.
got plenty of ways to keep this board under control. And I mean, the fact that he's going to be adding Harrison behind this and dealing 8 damage in the process, this is looking potentially disastrous for Super JJ, because this isn't the stage of the game where you want to draw 2 Innervates and a Wild Growth, and that's exactly what he has in his hand.
Yeah, he's got all this extra mana, but not really anything to do with it. He has a Force of Nature Savage Roar combo in his hand, but it's not going to be killing ECOP, and that's what he wants to be doing there. He's going to have to clear a lot of stuff off this board with it.
Yeah, a lot of times that's the position where Druid ends up losing, is when they have to use these big damage combos just to keep the board under control. I mean, this is kind of the nightmare effect, but I can't blame him for this. He's actually, it looks to me like he's gonna, wait, is this enough damage to actually end this game here?
Yeah, does he have double Force of Nature Savage Roar in this?
Wait, hang on a second. Is that actually enough? That's 14 damage from the Savage Roar. Oh my gosh, 20, oh my gosh. That's enough damage because the Shade is sitting on board. Oh my goodness, we did not count that much damage. I forgot completely about the fact that you can iterate past 10 mana. I am so embarrassed right now, but Super JJ with massive damage towards the... I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah, the double Innervate is going to allow him to do it both in the same turn. I had mentioned that he might have a huge Force of Nature Savage Roar turn, and I was kind of alluding to maybe double, but I didn't know that he was going to draw the second Innervate and be able to get there.
I mean, I'm speechless right now. It's very rare that you see a situation where someone can cast double Force of Nature and then Savage Roar afterwards.
You see the double Savage Roar sometimes of Innervate
yeah,
late in the game.
I mean, the double Savage Roar is the one that you typically look for in that position. You only need 1 Innervate to go with it.
I've never seen the double Force of Nature before.
I've actually never seen that happen before either. That was...
We're getting a lot of pretty good firsts here at HBO. We have our first Fatigue, we have our first double Force of Nature win. This has been a great matchup. It's been real back and forth.
Yeah, unbelievable amount of damage. I mean, that kind of illustrating to you the nightmare that Druid can pose to a control deck, though, is that control decks don't always end the game very quickly, and then you allow your opponents to get to those sorts of card circumstances. I'm still a little bit blown away by that
Emperor
one.
Thaurissan makes for some really strange and awesome games.
Yeah, Emperor actually playing a pretty critical role there, too, because one of the Force Natures costs 9 and one of the Savage Roars costs 2 mana. And the fact that he floated 1 extra mana afterwards meant that he needed the Emperor to give him the 1 extra mana, not necessarily just the 2. But that actually making a big difference in that game, showing you the kind of power potential that card can unlock in some of these combo decks.
Yes. Unbelievable games back and forth, guys. You know what? We said it was going to be a close one, and it looks like they're about to go to Game 5 now. They have a couple minutes. They're going to change their decks, change their classes. You can go over to pvplive.net, find out what they play. We talked about a lot of Warlock out of ECOP. He hasn't played it yet in this tournament, but I mean in this match. But what does he do differently, and why is he winning so much? Find it at pvplive.net. Now, guys, we're going to be right back with Game 5. You're watching Hearthstone on PvP Live.